Welcome on back to Same But Different. We're back from our long break. I'm Derek, and with me we have absolutely nobody because Brody's a very busy boy. I'm sure we'll hear from him sometime during this video, but for now, you've got me, and we're going to review The Last Voyage of the Demeter. It's Alien on a ship with Dracula. What more do you need? Movie came out this year and saw the trailer, looked really cool, and honestly, it delivered on being pretty cool. For those of you that don't know, it's about the ship that takes cargo from Romania to London. And on that ship, in that cargo, unbeknownst to the crew, is Dracula himself. The ship doesn't make it. And you know that right off the hop. Well, the ship makes it to the shore, it's just the crew doesn't. That was one of the problems I had with the film, is like right off the very beginning, you know that everybody doesn't survive. And that takes away from the stakes. It takes away from all the fun. It takes away from, who's gonna get it next. And I wonder who's gonna survive. The magic is kind of gone. That being said, because it takes place in when did it take place? Early 1900s? Was it before that? I don't know. Way back in the day, it got the tone right. It was very gothic. It was very doom and gloom, dark and broody. Having that kind of vibe mixed with the sailor's life, it was a cool vibe. The characters were really neat. I feel like the word neat has a whole new punch to it with a mustache. The characters are really neat. They each have their own little quirks, their own, characteristics. However, I felt like there was a lack of camaraderie, a lack of synergy, a lack of already lived in history with these guys. I mean, everybody on the boat should be brothers in arms at this point, except for Clemens, played by Corey Hawkins. I didn't really get that vibe. It just didn't play for me. I didn't feel like these guys were ride or die brothers who had inside jokes, have been on the sea together forever. It just didn't feel like that. It felt like just a ragtag group of people getting together who didn't know each other, and then they just have unfortunate circumstances. Even the captain with the kid felt a little flimsy, and they're supposed to be related. This captain's supposed to be his protector at this point. Every vampire movie has its rules. Some of them are very, very similar. Some are very, very different. And depending on which movie you watch, that depends on the rules that apply. It's like zombies. There are certain rules that only some movies adhere to. This one had rules. However, they weren't very clear on what they should be. They were never really established. We were kind of just expected to accept whatever happened. Like the difference between a death bite and a bite that turns you into this undead slave to Dracula's mind control, which was its own thing and never really explained. But again, those were rules that have been established in previous Dracula/vampire movies that you kind of just have to apply to this one. I just wish this movie took the time to go into its own lore a little bit more. Yeah, the fact that a blood transfusion delayed the inevitable turning of somebody after being bit by a vampire, that was pretty cool. I liked that. Keep that. The violence. Let's talk about the violence, because this is something that I definitely wasn't expecting as crazy as it gave us. The violence was visceral. It wasn't gory. There were a few moments where I'm like, ooh, but it wasn't gory. It was just really hard hitting. When things happened, when a guy bashes his head, when a guy gets his throat slashed, when someone gets set on fire even, it just hits really hard and, like I said, visceral. And the screams of someone burning alive on that ship are just baked into you, for lack of a better term. Of course, let's talk about Dracula himself. Dracula, you've known over the years as Gary Oldman, Bela Lugosi, as of late, Nicolas Cage, and other renditions for sure. This Dracula design takes its inspiration from Nosferatu, which was a copyright thing in its own regard back when it was created. But now Nosferatu is known as King of the Vampires, basically. This particular Dracula takes its inspiration from the Nosferatu design. Clearly. If it didn't, I'd be very, very surprised. Just a skinny, lanky thing that crawls around with crooked, sharp, jaggedy teeth. I really, really like the design. The only thing that I didn't like about it is that they had Dracula emote sometimes, like smile, and it just felt weird. It just felt off. I didn't want to see that. I'm glad I watched it. It was really cool. There was a nice little Easter egg in there from the Wolfman, which I really appreciated, and I was kind of at the edge of my seat, hoping that they'd bring in the Talbots at the end of this movie and make a little bit of a universe hint. And I'm waiting for a Universal Monster Universe. It just has to happen after failing so hard. All in all, pretty good time with it. Wasn't a great movie, but it was I'm going to give it a 6.5 bats out of 10. Is that what bats sound like? No, that's wrong. And now we're going to see what Brody has to say about the film as he sends in his very educational and very insightful review for The Last Voyage of the Demeter. Demeter? We still don't know.
What's up? It's your boy. I'm really sorry that I couldn't be there. I've been a busy bee, and Derek has decided to take the reins on this one. So here I am in a quick little insert. I am going to try to keep things quick. I do wish that we could actually discuss this one. It's such a interesting movie. This movie surprised me. A gothic horror movie set in an isolated space in the middle of the ocean already had me hooked. And then you throw in the part of the original Dracula novel that's never actually been shown on the screen before. Spoiler alert, I thought it was solid. I thought the cinematography was really, really well done. I think the score was haunting. In my opinion, what shone the brightest in this movie was actually everything going on outside of the horror, which is very strange for a horror movie. A lot of really good characters in this movie, and a lot of them which are actually very likable, which is just unheard of in modern horror movies. Maybe not unheard of, but rare. I really appreciated how this movie didn't let any of its characters feel safe. Oftentimes in these sorts of movies you can watch and you know what characters might survive or at least make it to the end before they die, but this movie didn't allow that, to the point of even killing the kid. Pretty wild stuff. That scene of Toby sinking after being burnt alive, like the charred corpse sinking into the ocean, still in there. Real cool stuff. Where I did struggle to enjoy this movie was the horror itself. And that's a shame to say about a horror movie. I mean, Dracula and the CGI, I think, looked great. I've seen a lot of people complain that he just looked like an alien or a zombie from a video game. I think he looked pretty cool. The CGI behind him was really well done. The kill scenes were brutal and bloody and tons of fun. I do think they played it a little bit safe. They could have gone a little more explosive with the violence in this movie, but hey, that's just me because I'm a fucking psychopath. But yeah, the horror itself I found weak. I don't think any of the jump scares really landed. I think the stuff with Dracula and him stalking and praying in the night and stuff after once or twice kind of just got a little bit repetitive and stale. You know, and that's where this movie's going to lose a lot of its points, is that it's a horror movie, but I enjoyed everything in this movie except for the horror. I found the plot surrounding everything to be the most intriguing aspect. So I was happy to get dialogue scenes or, 20 minutes between scary moments. Scary moments. I will admit to it maybe being a little bit long. I think it could have benefited from being a little more concise, just like 10 or 15 minutes. It didn't need to be a 90-minute movie, but it didn't need to be a 2-hour movie. So I am going to go ahead and give this movie a solid 7. 7 Dracula bites out of 10 because it was good. I think I'd watch it again. I think I might even recommend it to people. So really, really sorry that I couldn't be there. I'm sure Derek is doing an absolutely subpar job. Appreciate you all watching as always. Thank you so much. Derek, I love you. Take it away from here. Tell them what's coming, man. Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to know what Brody said, but I hope it was wonderful and everything you ever wanted. Day change. All right, let's figure out what we're watching next week. And you know what? Instead of the Hat of Destiny, it's going to be the Derek of Destiny, because I'm just going to choose. Here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3. The Blackening and Infinity Pool. Let's do it. So come on back next week when we review those 2 movies, double feature for Halloween. Let's finale this month right. Thank you so much for watching. As always, we love you so much. And if you like movies, please subscribe to the channel, like the video. Let us know in the comments what your favorite scary movie is. We'd love to know it. And let's talk about it. Until next time, this has been Same But Different. Remember to let your skeletons out of the closet. We'll see you next time.